Sonic the Hedgehog, better known as Sonic 06, is by all accounts an enormous mess. In the meta sense, the game's development cycle was completely chaotic, and the game wound up rushed to release as an incomplete, buggy, barely coherent mess. But the story within the game is equally convoluted. Time travel stories are not simple to write, and Kyoko Yoshimura and Shiro Maekawa had some real heavy lifting to do to make the story both interesting and sensical. I'm not saying they succeeded, just that it's a bit harder than your average video game story creation. Now, over the course of the game, you play through 3 different stories, one following Sonic the Hedgehog, Miles Tails Prower, and Knuckles the Echidna, one following Shadow the Hedgehog, Rouge the Bat, and E123 Omega, and one following Silver the Hedgehog, Blaze the Cat, and Amy Rose. All 3 teams find themselves moving back and forth through time, weaving through each other's stories, and even sometimes their own. It's easy to follow the story of Sonic, or Shadow, or Silver individually, but it can be a bit difficult to understand how the entire story moves forward in time. I'm not actually sure this video is going to solve that, but I'm gonna try my damnedest. So, in honor of the Supersonic Let's Play reaching 1,000 videos, I present to you a brief timeline of Sonic the Hedgehog, 2006. I was going to call it A Brief History of Soliana, like the Hyrule video, but apparently that title is a bit confusing and maybe even misleading since it was in-universe. I might actually go back and change that one, I don't know. Anyway, at some point at least 10 years in the past, Sonic the Hedgehog and Princess Elise III blow out Solaris the Living Flame and nothing else happens. Okay, alright, fine, look. In the end, the events of these games retcon themselves out of existence, but obviously there's more of a timeline to the events that happen in the game, so let's do that. 10 years before the events of the game, the Duke of Soliana and a team of researchers are working on the Solaris project, a prototype energy engine using Solaris, the Flame of Hope, in an attempt to control time, in an aquatic base under Soliana's ancient castle. The Duke's daughter, Princess Elise III, watches on. As the Solaris project starts melting down, Shadow and Silver arrive from 10 years in the future. The machine explodes, killing the researchers and separating Solaris into a being of fire named Iblis and a being of shadow named Mephiles, both of which quickly flee the laboratory. Shadow chases Mephiles and seals him in the Scepter of Darkness given to him by the Duke with the green Chaos Emerald, with Mephiles vowing to remember Shadow's name and form. Meanwhile, Silver chases Iblis and the Duke seals it in his daughter Elise, the last person with royal blood remaining, with the white Chaos Emerald, telling her to be a strong queen who doesn't cry before dying. Elise thereby becomes the de facto ruler of Soliana. Silver brings Elise outside the aquatic base, and Shadow leaves the Scepter of Darkness with her. The two use the green and blue Chaos Emeralds to open a portal to 10 years in the future, and Silver leaves the blue Chaos Emerald with Elise before the portal closes. Elise holds on to the blue Chaos Emerald as a personal keepsake, and more importantly, the white Chaos Emerald is removed from the timeline for 10 years, thus completely destroying the capacity for every single Sonic game since Sonic, 2 to occur in the first place? For now. Also, the ancient castle is soon abandoned altogether, and Elise begins her life as the ruler in Soliana Castletown. At an unknown point in the next decade, the Scepter of Darkness ends up in Doctor Eggman's possession. The day before the Festival of the Sun, 10 years later, Rouge the Bat goes on a covert mission to retrieve the Scepter of Darkness from Eggman's base in White Acropolis, but is forced to send an SOS. The following day, Silver the Hedgehog and Blaze the Cat arrive from at least 200 years in the future, with Silver landing in the Soliana Forest and Blaze atop a tall island in Wave Ocean. The two spend their day traveling back to Soliana Castletown. That night, Soliana holds its annual Festival of the Sun, no relation to Westopolis' Fire in the Sky Festival. During the festival, Princess Elise sees a vision of Iblis destroying Soliana, and Dr. Eggman attacks the festivities in search of the secret to the Flames of Disaster, as well as the Blue Chaos Emerald. Silver arrives in Soliana Castletown just in time to see one Sonic the Hedgehog arrive on the scene and rescue Elise, but he is prevented from confronting him when Amy Rose mistakes him for Sonic. She apologizes and the two agree to help each other locate the ones they're looking for, not realizing they're both looking for Sonic. Sonic manages to bring Elise to the other side of town, but Eggman catches up and captures her anyway. Elise is able to throw the Blue Chaos Emerald to Sonic, and Eggman takes her away. Meanwhile, by order of the President, the Guardian Units of Nations send Shadow the Hedgehog on a mission to rescue Rouge from White Acropolis. However, she manages to escape with the Scepter of Darkness on her own, and she and Shadow deal with the Egg Cerberus before warping to a hidden laboratory. There, Rouge asks Shadow to continue escorting her to a gun rendezvous point in Kingdom Valley. Quick point of order, the game says G-U-N instead of gun, and that sounds dumb, so I'm saying gun. The following morning, Sonic meets Tails in Soliana Castletown, and the two try and fail to chase down the egg carrier. After returning to town and saving a girl on a rooftop, they get permission from Lord Regis to enter Dusty Desert and follow Eggman there. Silver helps protect Soliana's forest gate from Eggman's mechs, and Lord Regis allows him and Amy into the desert as well. Sonic and Tails find the imprisoned Elise and fight off the egg Cerberus before splitting up so Sonic and Elise can escape. Silver and Amy run through the desert looking for Sonic as well, since Amy senses him nearby, but don't find him and head back to town. While everyone else is in the desert, Shadow and Rouge arrive at the rendezvous point where Eggman ambushes them and knocks the Scepter of Darkness out of Rouge's hands. The scepter smashes into the ground, releasing Mephiles from his 10-year imprisonment, who chooses a new form based on Shadow's, Shadow. Mephiles then uses his powers to send himself, Shadow, and Rouge 200 years into the future. After Sonic and Elise escape to a hillside, she tends to his wounds and tells him about the sun god Solaris before returning to town. There, they are confronted by Silver, who calls Sonic the Iblis Trigger. As they fight, Sonic gains the upper hand until Silver uses his psychokinetic powers to knock Sonic into a pillar, allowing Eggman to arrive and recapture Elise. Silver tries to finish Sonic off, but is blocked by Amy, who is horrified to learn that he was also looking to find Sonic so he could kill him. Sonic uses this moment to escape to New City, and Amy soon abandons Silver, who spends the rest of the day pondering whether he can bring himself to kill Sonic to save the future. Before leaving town, Eggman runs into Knuckles, who he gives a message to deliver to Sonic, and shortly after this, Rouge returns from 200 years in the future with the green Chaos Emerald she found there. Gun contacts her, but she tells them she needs to find Omega immediately. Across town, Sonic solves a riddle by the town guard, and Tails has him head to the warehouse district, where he fights off more mechs and meets Knuckles, who gives him Eggman's message, a demand for the blue Chaos Emerald in exchange for Elise at his base in White Acropolis. Meanwhile, Rouge seeks out Omega in the jungle and gives him the green Chaos Emerald to deliver to Shadow in the future. Omega walks off and enters standby mode for 200 years. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles make their way to the gate to White Acropolis and begin infiltrating Eggman's base, and when Blaze finally finds Silver again, the two decide to follow Sonic into White Acropolis as well. Upon reaching the base, Sonic gives up the blue Chaos Emerald, but Eggman uses his prototype Solaris project to send Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles elsewhere in time. Unbeknownst to Eggman, they have been sent 200 years into the future. Eggman imprisons Elise within his base and installs the blue Chaos Emerald in the Egg Genesis. Silver and Blaze successfully get through the base as well, but by the time they arrive, everyone is already gone, though they do fight the Egg Genesis and claim the blue Chaos Emerald for themselves. Elsewhere in the lab, Amy has also infiltrated the compound looking for Sonic, but bumps into Elise in the middle of her own escape instead. Amy and Elise escape the base together as the next day begins, talk briefly about love, and part ways to avoid Eggman's mechs. However, Eggman waits outside the castle and captures Elise once again, bringing her aboard his train. Eggman also orders his mechs to hunt down Mephiles so he can create the true Solaris once more. At noon, a version of Sonic arrives from 4 hours in the future, ringing the 3 bells of Soliana and barreling through the aquatic base beneath the ancient castle to try and stop Eggman from launching the egg carrier. 3 hours later, Shadow and Omega arrive from 200 years in the future. At this point, there are actually 2 Omegas in Soliana, however the other is already in standby mode. Shadow and Omega meet with Rouge, who warns them that Eggman's mechs will be hunting Shadow down too. In response, Shadow decides to take the green Chaos Emerald and confront Eggman directly, and tells Rouge and Omega to keep an eye on Mephiles. Rouge has Gun HQ give her all the data on the Scepter of Darkness, while Shadow finds out Eggman is traveling by train and pursues him. As he does so, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles return from 200 years in the future and also end up chasing after Eggman's train. And now there are 2 Sonics as well, one freshly returned from the future following Eggman's train, and a second one from 4 hours in the future skipping the train entirely and heading directly for the egg carrier. Silver and Blaze find Mephiles in town and ask him about the Iblis Trigger, and Mephiles points them in the direction of the train terminal. After all 3 Hedgehogs move along the train tracks, Shadow is the first to arrive, confronting Eggman about Mephiles. Sonic then manages to rescue Elise from the train, but is once again interrupted by the arrival of Silver, allowing Eggman to kidnap Elise yet again. This time, however, Shadow intervenes, allowing Sonic to chase after Eggman. Shadow and Silver fight, and after Shadow uses Chaos Control to evade him, Silver mirrors his move with a Chaos Control of his own, with the 2 opening a rift in space-time. Shadow convinces Silver to investigate with him, and the 2 jump through the portal to 10 years in the past. Meanwhile, Elise throws herself from the Eggmobile, where Sonic catches her and Eggman attacks with the Egg Genesis. Sonic makes quick work of it, however, and Sonic and Elise escape into the jungle and stop to talk by a pond before heading back to town. Frustrated by the repeated escapes, Eggman flies the egg carrier over the castle town and orders Elise to meet him at 4 p.m. or he will destroy Soliana. Elise agrees to go meet him alone, but her lady-in-waiting, Anna, seeks out Tails to help her. Tails follows the egg carrier but can't manage to catch up, heading back to town to find Sonic. In the meantime, Silver returns from 10 years in the past, where Blaze informs him that Elise has already left for Eggman's base. While he figures out his next move, Silver is also tasked with escorting Anna to the town gate. Shadow also returns from the past, where he asks Rouge to find out what the Scepter of Darkness is made of. Omega is still pursuing Mephiles and eventually finds him on the other end of Wave Ocean. An archaeologist named Adriana is attacked by Iblis's creatures while researching the Scepter of Darkness in Soliana's ruins, and Shadow saves her and creates a new scepter from the Candle of Darkness. Gunn contacts Shadow to send him as Omega's backup, though Omega is able to defeat Mephiles on his own, and Team Dark returns to Soliana. After 4 p.m., Eggman takes Elise aboard the Egg Carrier as they set sail for another Chaos Emerald, and future Sonic is able to board before it leaves. Sonic and Tails decide to head for the ancient castle, and Sonic is made to face the 3 trials in order to open the path. Silver isn't far behind, and also has to face his own 3 trials to advance to Kingdom Valley. While they take the trials, Team Dark defends Soliana from Iblis's creatures attacking from the desert, and Lord Regis allows them to cross it towards the ruins where Mephiles is also headed in order to claim a Chaos Emerald. In Kingdom Valley, Sonic is stopped by Eggman's mechs, but Silver quickly disposes of them, and the two team up to follow the Egg Carrier and save Elise. As Mephiles obtains the yellow Chaos Emerald, Shadow takes him down and uses the Scepter of Darkness to seal him away again. However, using the power he absorbed from Shadow during his revival, Mephiles breaks out of the scepter, steals the green Chaos Emerald, and creates hundreds of phantoms of himself. Shadow removes his delimiter bracelets and begins to fight them all. At this point, the Egg Carrier's engines malfunction for unknown reasons, and future Sonic confronts Eggman directly. He defeats the Egg Wyvern and escapes with Elise as the Egg Carrier crashes and explodes, appearing to kill Elise, and presumably Eggman as well. Only seeing the explosion from far away, a grief-stricken Sonic the Hedgehog and Silver use Chaos Control so Sonic can go 4 hours back in time, throwing the Cyan Chaos Emerald to Silver before he does, and Silver and Blaze can go back to their own time 200 years in the future. Normally, Iblis is freed following the crash of the Egg Carrier and its flames consume the world. Humanity used this event, which came to be known as the Day of Disaster, as an excuse to pin the blame on Shadow the Hedgehog, and future Omega is tasked with capturing Shadow, after which he is imprisoned in some form of stasis for over 200 years. However, once Sonic changes fate and rescues Elise, Mephiles uses the purple Chaos Emerald to stun them, and kills Sonic the Hedgehog with an energy beam. Elise cries over the loss of Sonic, releasing Iblis, allowing Mephiles to use the purple Chaos Emerald to begin to rejoin with it. And back in the desert, Shadow puts his delimiter bracelets back on after defeating the Phantoms and is about to reclaim the yellow and green Chaos Emeralds when he, Rouge, and Omega are warped away to the end of the world. 200 years later, Shadow and Rouge appear in a destroyed Soliana after being sent there by Mephiles. After realizing they are in Eggman's base in the future, they hear Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles arrive as well from Eggman's time machine, and the 5 team up to return home using Chaos Emeralds from the future. Elsewhere in the city, Mephiles locates the purple Chaos Emerald, and Blaze seeks out Silver to alert him to the reappearance of Iblis. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles search the ruins of Soliana for information, while Shadow and Rouge look for the first Chaos Emerald. Meanwhile, Silver and Blaze hunt down Iblis and fight it. After the battle, the newly freed Mephiles appears and tells Silver to seek out the Iblis trigger in the past. Team Sonic sees Mephiles tell Silver and Blaze about the Day of Disaster, as well as let Silver hold the purple Chaos Emerald to see a vision of Sonic surrounded by fire. Mephiles sends himself, Silver, and Blaze back in time to the day of the Festival of the Sun, and Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles learn about the circumstances of Princess Elise's death. Meanwhile, Rouge collects the green Chaos Emerald, and she and Shadow discover Omega still in standby mode and with the green Chaos Emerald of the past still within him. Tails contacts Rouge, and the 5 reconvene to discuss the next Chaos Emerald on the other side of the Flame Core. Rouge goes to grab the Cyan Chaos Emerald, but a larval Iblis attacks. Once Sonic and Shadow defeat it, they use their Chaos Emeralds to open a rift in space-time back to 200 years in the past. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Rouge all enter the rift, but a shadowy flame catches Shadow's attention. As the flame turns into Mephiles, Shadow gives chase as the portal closes. Mephiles tries and fails to recruit Shadow to his side, and they fight. Shadow struggles to defeat him, but the newly reawakened Omega arrives to help. Mephiles escapes to the past, and Shadow and Omega follow him. Sometime after this, Silver and Blaze return from the past with the Cyan and White Chaos Emeralds, crossing the Flame Core to fight Iblis one last time. Silver tries to use the 2 Chaos Emeralds to contain Iblis within himself, but he is not of royal blood, so Blaze takes on the burden instead. At her command, Silver seals Blaze into another dimension, freeing the world of Iblis. However, as Mephiles begins to merge back together with Iblis in the past, all of time compresses into a single point, and Mephiles is able to use this moment to collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds to complete the act, with the 2 beings joining together as Solaris. At the end of the world, Sonic's friends seek out the Chaos Emeralds which have been scattered across what remains of the universe to save his life and stop Solaris. With the 7 Chaos Emeralds, Elise kisses Sonic to return him to life, and Sonic, Shadow, and Silver all go super to defeat Solaris. In the aftermath, Sonic and Elise are sent into some sort of abstract past before the Solaris project ever existed, and blow out the living flame of Solaris, blissfully erasing the entire game's events from history. So yeah, technically this game's timeline is just... Now, I did this from the perspective of the normal passage of time because the 3 Hedgehog stories are already told in their own sequence during standard gameplay. And if you haven't checked out our series, which we have just wrapped up, you can do so at the link provided. Highly recommend. One could also walk through Mephiles or Eggman's timelines, though it's a bit hard to tell at times what sequence they're actually following, especially since Mephiles can time travel at will. What's really interesting to look at, though, is the Chaos Emeralds. These things do some weird shit. A few of them are pretty straightforward. The yellow Chaos Emerald rests in Dusty Desert for the duration of the game until Mephiles acquires it shortly before ascending. The white Chaos Emerald is owned by the Duke, given to Silver, who takes it 10 years into the future, and keeps it on him as he returns to his own time 200 years past that. And the red Chaos Emerald just doesn't even show up at all until the end of the world. Kind of weird, actually. The Cyan Chaos Emerald gets found in the future by our heroes, bringing it back to the past, where Sonic holds on to it until giving it to Silver, who takes it with him back to the future again. The purple Chaos Emerald is a bit stranger. Mephiles appears to acquire it off-screen during his trip to the future and shows Silver his vision of Sonic, brings it back to the past, and holds on to it for the entire game without using it, even when he is actively seeking out and using other Chaos Emeralds, then uses it to kill Sonic. Kind of feels like there's like a piece missing there. The last 2 emeralds are pretty fun, the blue and the green Chaos Emeralds, which we see more than any other in the game, which is part of why it gets so messy. The green Chaos Emerald goes on a ride. This is going to get weird. The green Chaos Emerald enters the story 200 years in the future, where Rouge finds it in the ruins of Soleanna's cities. After the heroes find the Cyan Chaos Emerald, it goes back in time with Rouge, who seeks out Omega and has him hold on to it for 200 years. Meaning when Shadow and Rouge find Omega still deactivated in the future, there are 2 separate versions of the same Chaos Emerald mere inches apart. Omega successfully delivers the emerald to Shadow, still stuck in the future, though it ends up being unnecessary to time travel back to the present as Mephiles opens a portal himself. Shadow does ultimately take the Chaos Emerald and uses it at the end of his fight with Silver, and the blue and green Chaos Emeralds are brought 10 years into the past, where Shadow uses it to seal Mephiles into the Scepter of Darkness and then brings it back to the present. Shadow carries it with him into the desert, where he loses it after Mephiles breaks free of the second Scepter of Darkness and the end of the world begins. Whew, okay. One more to go. The blue Chaos Emerald begins the game in the possession of Princess Elise. When she is captured by Eggman, she throws the emerald to Sonic, who keeps it with him until Eggman offers to trade it for Elise. Sonic gives the emerald up, and Eggman installs it into the Egg Genesis at his base. After Silver and Blaze defeat it, Silver claims the blue Chaos Emerald, which he keeps until his fight with Shadow. He then takes the Chaos Emerald into the past and leaves the blue emerald with the young Elise, which she grows up to cherish as a keepsake of her father, which is then in her possession 10 years later when she's captured by Eggman. Uh-oh. This is what's called a paradox. Specifically, it's a causal loop, sometimes called an ontological paradox. What that means is that this Chaos Emerald was never created. It has no beginning. Its path through time results in a never-ending loop. And you couldn't even solve this by having Silver give Elise the white Chaos Emerald and keep the blue, since then the blue wouldn't have existed to end up in Silver's possession in the first place, and he would have come back in time with a second white emerald instead. It's really messy, but this appears to be like the one paradox this game can't resolve, which, you know, is kind of impressive, I guess, after all this mess. And hey, in the end, this story never even happened at all. And isn't that what really matters? Anyway, happy 1,000 videos, and here's to 1,000 more. What's that? Oh, this is number 999? And 1,000 is tomorrow? Oh. Well then, guess I'll have to make that video the best of all.
The fuse on this rocket and it's ready to go, 'cause now the countdown has started and it's ready to blow. Champ running things, hyperactive instrumental and pulling strings.